Hey guys, AB here. I'm actually early for once for the happy half hour. Probably the first time in my life I've ever been early to anything, maybe. I was born a week late, needless information that you now have. So it's happy half hour number 9. There's a lot of, wow, it just feels like everything's heavy right now. Life is absolutely crazy. I'm sure you can't figure out why. But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about positive things, bring some joy to life, maybe have some laughs. Sadly, my guest, Taylor, who's awesome, is sick. So she was not able to come. I was almost going to cancel. And I was like, you know what? I need this. Maybe you guys need a drink, need something to think about other than just like looking at a map with a bunch of colors on it that's supposed to mean something. But to be honest, to me, this right here, having some friends around, toasting some drinks, that means a lot more to me than any stupid colors on a map. So if you're watching, thanks for coming and showing up and listening to me. Even though Taylor can't make it, we're going to reschedule her. She's awesome, but I don't want to force her to, she said, luckily it's not a COVID situation. So that's good. She just came down with a cold or something, but we do love Taylor and we'll get her back as soon as we possibly can. Anybody watching, I might just throw this out there. I might just pull some guests on straight out of the chat. If anybody's interested, go ahead and message me and we'll try to see what we can do. We might pop somebody in, just like a drop in, but here we are. Happy half hour number 9, and I got some interesting, potentially fun things to do that are not political and have nothing to do with a bunch of colors on a map. So what are you drinking? If you're watching, pop it in the chat. I am actually drinking what I'm calling a Hemingway martini, and this is directly from the book, which I love. I'm going to write it here. To Have and Have Another. I've mentioned it a few times. It's a great book. It has all of Hemingway's favorite cocktails. So on Happy Half Hour, I'm actually working through the list of his favorite cocktails. So I thought, let's tackle the classic. Let's do a straight up Hemingway martini. So I followed his directions to the letter from the book, the way that he used to like them. And I'm going to pop that recipe into the chat right now so you can check it out and try it if you want to. It'll take me just a second, so be patient with me. I'm a one-man wrecking crew, one-man show. One of these days, I'll be like Joe Rogan or somebody important, and I'll have people that can do that stuff for me. So hopefully that shows up right. I just popped it in the chat as I always do. I really like this recipe. Actually, it's pretty good. It's according to Hemingway, it's all about the ratio of the vermouth to the gin. He was a gin martini drinker. So I love me some gin. So I know Taylor does too. It's too bad she couldn't be here. But Tanqueray gin is supposed to be the most similar to what he would drink. And he would do a 1-to-7 ratio of vermouth to gin, and he would actually use French vermouth. So up until this point, I had only ever had Italian dry vermouth. And the French one, I have to say, it's quite nice. It's called Noe Prat. I don't know how to pronounce it, even though I do speak French, but it's really good. I like it. He would also take his, if you see these little white blobs in here, he would take his with cocktail onions. But I also love olives, so I did both. So I'm getting nuts with it. His whole thing was about having super, super, super cold martinis, extra dry. So hence the very small amount of vermouth and large amount of gin. And he would freeze his cocktail onions so that they would keep his drink cold, like little ice cubes, which I did that as well. Although, I'm sure his drinks didn't last very long. And under the circumstances, mine probably won't either. Got me a little backup beer just in case I run out, because I'm in a funk, man. This whole country's in a funk. I think we're all funked up right now. You know what I'm saying? It's a little crazy. I don't want to get political on it. I want to stay positive and try to spread happiness and joy. So that's what I'm doing. Like I said, I got some fun things to talk about, but I really think we need to remember, the things that bring us together, not the things that pull us apart, because we are still one country, and the divisiveness and the hatred. I mean, that's what bothers me. Somebody disagreeing with me philosophically or politically, we can squash that. We can have a couple drinks and get past that. Or, we could also throw some of these guys and, do it old school. And at the end of the day, doesn't prove anything, sometimes people just disagree, and that's the way it goes. So, I think at the end of the day, we still have to be one country, and it's our country, for the people, of the people, by the people, So I think government's there to screw us anyway. So, which guy do you want screwing you? As I said on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, who am I going to vote for? The Republican ass blasting me or the Democrat ass blasting me? You get an ass blasting no matter what, it seems. But that is not what we're here to talk about. I was going to talk about beer because Taylor is a flavor detective. She's a very awesome photographer, and what she takes photos of are beer and herself drinking beer. And she's also very beautiful. So that helps a lot. I don't know if I would make it as a Instagram beer photographer. Maybe not. I haven't tried. So, I'm also, I don't know if you noticed, I'm getting my figure a little tighter. I've been working out a lot, a few more martinis, a few less craft beers. Yeah, so I guess it helps to be super hot, but we were going to talk about beers, and I was going to talk about beer names because I find beer names fascinating, brewery names specifically. So here's a couple that stuck out at me that I'm going to just tell you a little bit about. I was going to quiz Taylor. Let's stop talking about what's not happening. Let's talk about what is happening. What is happening is AB having a drink with you, to your face, and doing fun things, because we all need some of that right now. Before I forget, I'm going to get into my beer name facts, but let me just talk about a little toast here. We got a toast. We got to do a toast. So if you got a drink, raise your drink up. This toast is to the kisses we've snatched and vice versa. Think about it. Think about it. That's an anonymous one. It's pretty funny, in my opinion. And woo, I made this one good. This is Hemingway style. You can tell because it's already taken effect. So one particular beer that caught my eye, I've always wondered, what the hell? Where did that come from? Where did that name come from? So you might have heard of a beer called Smutty Nose. Smutty Nose is named after Smutty Nose Island, which has a weirdly sexual name. It does. Smutty Nose. Yeah, she's a real hot piece of ass. She's got a smutty nose. I don't know what that means exactly, but she's got a nose for all things smutty. We do know it's the third largest of 9 islands that form the Isle of Shoals. It's an archipelago. You don't see that word every day. Archipelago. Off the New Hampshire coast, North Hampshire, off the North Hampshire coast. Yeah, I've been studying the map for 2 days and I still don't know how to say New Hampshire. There was also a notorious double axe murder that happened there in the 1870s. Double axe murder, Smutty Nose. I don't know how that relates, but makes sense somehow. The other one that always catches my eye, because such things catch my eye, is Licking Hole Creek Craft Brewery, which is actually in Virginia, where I am, where I'm from, Virginia, who I love. And the brewery, let's see, its name pays homage, for the French, to the small creek running through the property. Further, the beer-focused site says that way back in pre-colonial times, wildlife would stop by the creek for a drink. So it was like the Cheers bar of Virginia for deer and small woodland creatures. So that is not nearly as exciting as the name Licking Hole implies. Very boring. I was expecting something much more smutty nosed than that. Budweiser, because it's, kind of like our national beer, dumb, tasteless, and American. So it's the favorite beer of commercial frogs everywhere. This must have been written in the 90s. Budweiser was not named after its founder, who was Adolphus Busch. Apparently, lots of dudes were named Adolf back then. Oh, I get it. It's a Hitler joke. Those aren't allowed anymore. He began hawking his beer in 1876. He decided to name it after the town he got the recipe from, which was Budweiser. Okay, so Budweiser is the beer from Budweiser. Okay, that makes sense. The other thing that I was going to share with you guys is a thing I used to do on Drunk News, which I will return to doing Drunk News once the news becomes not so political that I won't make a million enemies every time I open my mouth. I'm pretty good at that without talking about politics. I tend to speak my mind, especially after a few Hemingway martinis. But I don't want to alienate people because, as I said, I want to bring people together. That's what Intox-Detox and having some drinks is all about. Balance, bringing people together, happiness, joy, love, beauty, honor, freedom, America, fuck yeah. That's the stuff that I love. Whether you're a political enemy or friend, you can still be my friend because I consider you an equal, whoever you are, and your opinion matters, my opinion matters, and we can still enjoy our life. That being said, Drunk News is on hiatus for an undetermined amount of time. I used to do a thing called Drunk at the Movies, which I really enjoyed because didn't know if you knew this, but now you're going to. Don't know if you want to, but hey, you're watching, so you got to listen to what I say. I used to be a screenwriter, and I wrote 15, I believe, feature-length scripts, 5 of which were projects that I actually got paid some money on, so that's an achievement, but none of those movies ever got made. So I like to watch other movies and go, oh my God, my scripts are so much better than this. So Drunk at the Movies is where I get a chance to do my sort of film buff thing and delve into some of the movies I've seen recently. One of which was Bill and Ted Face the Music. Now, this is a movie that was set to come out in 2020. I don't know if it officially did. I watched it on one of those like magic servers. Don't tell the FBI. But anyway, this movie was god awful. I'm sorry. Like Bill and Ted, these dudes are like 50 years old. They can't pull that shit off anymore. I'm sorry. They tried, it kind of worked, but they didn't. When a movie's really dumb and you're like, okay, it's dumb, but it's fun enough that like I'll go for the ride. See like pretty much all the National Treasure movies and things like that, like needless action films with needless plot elements that are just basically explosions with a loosely tied plot. Okay, fine. It's fun to go along for the ride. Sure. But Bill and Ted, I'm sorry. It's just a remake that, not a remake, but a sequel that didn't need to happen, in my opinion. I watched it. I tried to have fun with it. There were fun elements to it, but it was just a little, it was a little weak for me. So Bill and Ted, in my opinion, did not face the music. They ruined the original. Maybe I should have watched the original beforehand to sort of like set my standards. The one thing that I did find cool about it is they had an homage, I guess that's the word of the day, to George Carlin, who I forgot was in the original movies. Yes, movies. I think there were 2 before that. And anyway, I forgot he was even in it, and they had like a little homage to him, and they basically, like gave props to him. And he's, one of my heroes, George Carlin. And if he's not your hero, fuck you, because he's awesome. I'm just kidding. No, but I'm serious, actually. I'm not kidding. Anyway, I watched another movie that was a very unlikely hit for me. I was just in that mood of like, I'm just going to watch something. I'm just going to put it on. Maybe I'll fall asleep. Maybe I won't. So I watched American Pie, Girls Rules, which came out this year, and probably one of the worst decisions I've ever made in my life in terms of choosing a movie to watch. And I'm sad to admit that it was not that bad. Like it was actually a little bit edgy and sort of did it in a way that I was like, I didn't expect it the way it was. It's like a girl pact and they're all like trying to achieve something, and the original, I was like 18 years old. I'm 40 now. It's like, I can't even believe they're still making money off that franchise. But hey, if you can get your movie made and get paid some dollars for it. This movie also came out in 2020, which probably didn't come out, but which is sad. The whole industry is suffering, I'm sure. But I feel worse for like the people like me that are like writers and just like rank and file like the people that make movies happen, like the stars. They'll be fine. They got tons of money. But all the people that are out of jobs because they can't do shoots, that's pretty sad. But anyway, I liked the movie. I actually liked American Pie, Girls Rules. So I wasn't even drunk. So that tells you something. Couldn't have been that terrible. Was the script ham-handed and wonky and just a little bit off the rails? Yes, but it was also made me laugh out loud several times. It was just funny, And it's also maybe nice to see girls being portrayed as not being prim and proper, but as actually being like, I don't know, having like a sexual side, which, maybe that's a taboo thing to say since they're like meant to be teenage girls. I'm sure all the actors are like 28 years old, but anyway, they're playing like 17 and 18-year-olds. I enjoyed the movie, I have to say. So that was the most unexpected thing. I also, which on the subject of having some cocktails, I watched On the Rocks, which is a Sofia Coppola directed movie. I did not know that. So when I turned it on, I probably wouldn't have turned it on if I had known that. Yes, I like Sofia Coppola. She's a Hollywood brat, It's like she was born on third base, but she did hit some home runs. So you have to give her credit for that. Her dad is Francis Ford Coppola. So, instead of a pony, she wanted to make a movie, and she made some decent movies. Lost in Translation. Okay, it's a great film. It was raw and bare, but it had Bill Murray, who I love. If you don't love Bill Murray, fuck you, because Bill Murray is awesome. And if you don't think so, you're wrong. Just that is not acceptable to not like Bill Murray. But he was also in the film On the Rocks, which was with Rashida Jones from The Office, who I love, who's, also a writer herself and, a good actress or actor, whatever you're supposed to say these days. And so the two of them were a good pairing. And it was kind of a little bit of like a caper, but a domestic caper. Marlon Wayans is her husband. She suspects he's having an affair. So her and Bill Murray are following him around and trying to figure out what supposedly nefarious marital injustices he's committing. And they enjoy some drinks along the way. And Bill Murray plays like this. He's like an international playboy, and he's kind of like, he's a womanizer basically, but in a classy way, in the way that, old men, where they just charm the pants off everybody, literally. So it was enjoyable. I liked the movie. It was small. It was a very character study type of situation. I'm not going to bore your ass off about movies for much longer for the people that are loyal enough to watch me. But I will say I watched a god-awful movie called Broil, and I thought, okay, this is another bad movie, and I was in bad movie mood. I was just like, I'm going to watch bad movies. That's just what I'm going to do. I watch bad movies and make fun of them. And, in my delusions of grandeur, I'm going to just think, oh, all the movies I wrote were so much better than this, which they were by far. This movie is like a pseudo horror film, and they're like vampires, but they're not vampires. They're like demon chasers. It was just so bizarre in a bad way. I like bizarre movies. I'm a David Lynch fan. Okay. I like movies that are just complete mind F's, that feels like what life really feels like to me. Like one big mind F, So I enjoy films like that. This was not that. This was like something trying to be a mind F that wasn't. Like it was just very, I had to say, just boring, and like nothing made sense. It just was written. I think it was written by a 5-year-old, is what I think. So yeah, that's my review of Broil. This has been Drunk at the Movies, and man, with this super strong double Hemingway martini, I may end up being pretty drunk at the movies here, but that's not going to stop us. We move forward. So the other thing that I was going to do is to do something that I was calling brew libs. So it's kind of like Mad Libs, because along the lines of Licking Hole, Creek Craft Brewery, and Smutty Nose, have you noticed that breweries have really weird names? Like, they're all over the place, like Dogfish Head and Cigar City and all the different ones. Oscar Blues. There's a lot of other weirder ones. I'm probably Clown Shoes. That's a really weird one. Clowns are terrifying, right? That's nightmare stuff. See clown shoes sticking out of your closet, you probably, ruin your whole life. Probably, it's like It stuff, right? Anybody see the It remakes? I mean, they're good. The originals felt more real to me in a lot of ways. Here I go, back into movie critic style. I need to stick to what I'm trying to say. These Hemingway martinis, they will make you change the subject on yourself. Like you think you know what you're talking about, and then you're all of a sudden talking about something else entirely. The whole idea of brew libs was to come up with brewery names by like picking random adjectives and nouns and like slamming them together. So the one that I came up with that I thought was pretty interestingly funny in a way is Mocking Chinchilla. So Mocking Chinchilla, the way I picked that was I picked an adjective, and then I picked a noun, and I picked a number for each, and I went to thesaurus.com, and I basically smashed a couple words together and came up with a brewery name. So I think we're going to do that right now just for fun. We're going to come up with one live here. If anybody has any ideas, feel free to pop them into the chat here. Chat has not been active. Believe it or not, there are people watching, but not a tremendous amount of people. So I'm going to just say, I'm going to pick, I need an adjective. I'm going to say hairy. Let's do hairy. I'm going to go to thesaurus.com, and I'm popping in hairy, and I'm going to go hairy 3. So I'm going to put in hairy. Now I have to pick the third one down. So shaggy, we got shaggy. That's a good start. Shaggy is a good start to the thing. And I don't know, like, I feel like Shaggy Beaver is too obvious. Like I'm just dialing it in. So maybe I'll go with, we got Shaggy. We need a noun. A noun would be like Shaggy. Let's just go with car. Let's see what happens if we pop car into the source.com. We're going to go car 4. So we're going to do car and pick the fourth synonym that we get. And it's convertible. So yeah, so our new brewery is called Shaggy Convertible Brewing Co. Not too bad. I mean, it's right up there with Goose Island or Dogfish Head or Clown Shoes. I mean, how'd they come up with Clown Shoes? Let's do one more just for the hell of it. And let's do, let's come up with, first I need an adjective. So how about sloppy? Sloppy is a good one. I'm going to put sloppy in here. And we're going to go sloppy. We're going to go number 5. So the fifth one down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, mediocre. Okay. That's a good start. Mediocre. And then I was going to go with an adjective, a noun for beer. And let's go 3. We'll pick the third one down. Oh, that's a weird one. Wow. Okay. So we got hops. So we got mediocre hops. Okay, that's our other new brewery. Mediocre. This is going to be so much better with Taylor on here to help me out with these. But Mediocre Hops Brewing Company. I don't know how good that would taste, but you know, I've had a lot of beers that I could call mediocre hops, if I'm being honest. A lot of, especially during the IPA craze of like 2000, you know, 15 to now. Haven't had the opportunity very much to hit breweries locally because you know things closed down and COVID life and that kind of stuff. But hope to be back soon, man. I would love to hit some breweries. I'm a big fan of cider, so like you know, I feel like we could make a cider company. Let's come up with a cider company. I'll do a synonym for crazy. I'm gonna pick the eighth one down. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Ape. Okay. Ape. We got ape. And then we're going to do apple. Let's see. I don't think apple really works because really apple is apple, right? So I'm gonna pick fruit and just see what comes up. Ape nut. I like that because it's like grape nuts. So like ape nut brewing. Actually pretty cool. Man, we could really I think we're onto something here. This is the way that everybody should pick the name for their brewery. Basically just you pick an adjective and a number, then you pick a noun and a number. You go to thesaurus.com, bang, bang, boom. Like work's done for you. I wish writing was always this easy. I actually write all the notes for this show, which you can tell why it's so awful. Just kidding. Don't be negative about yourself like that. So what else are we going to talk about? This martini is absolutely delicious. I do recommend it. It's in the comments. I put the recipe. Of course, there's nothing special about it. Yes, it's just a martini. Hemingway loved his martinis. He liked them super, super duper cold, way ahead of his time. Like he would freeze his cocktail onions. So they were like little ice cubes. I already said that. But he would also take like one of those tennis ball containers, fill it up with ice, you know, the thing that like the 3 tennis balls come in, fill it up with water, put it in the freezer. So he had this like cylinder of ice that he could put in his shaker, and it would just make things like ridiculously cold. And you would shake your drink for like, you would shake it for like 4 years. Like seriously, after the election, you would start shaking it like this. No, it's a little wider than that. And then by the time you would get to the next election, your martini would be ready. So that's how long you would shake it. It's actually more like 60 to 90 seconds. So that's like a crazy amount of shaking. Like I shake it for 60 seconds with like a huge bunch of ice cube, like really big block ice. And by 60 seconds, it was so cold that my hand was literally turning black. It was like frostbite all up on my hand. But it was all worth it because here we go. I got this drink. It's still pretty cold because my little cocktail onions are like ice cubes because they were frozen. Although I'm talking so much that, you know, I'm not drinking my drink as much that it's kind of getting warm more quickly than it normally would. Although, what kind of program would it be if I just said nothing and just drank? You just watch me drink. It's like you're my bartender and I'm just sitting at the bar and I'm just sitting here drinking. Got my phone, just like a little Tinder. Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. Just the drinking channel. It's more exciting than C-SPAN. Yeah, that'd be awful. But yeah, that must be what it's like to be a bartender. Just watching the drinking channel for an 8-hour shift. Maybe you did a double. It's like a 14-hour drinking channel. And you got to pour them the drinks. Yeah, well, again, guys, I apologize that Taylor couldn't make it. Of course, it's not my fault. I didn't make her sick. She lives in Texas. So I can't really do much about that. Take care of myself. And vitamin D. Got to take lots of vitamin D, especially during the winter. I am of the Irish ilk. So I got this like milky white skin under here. especially on the insides of my thighs. Didn't need to know that, but I told you anyway. Now you're thinking about the insides of my thighs, which you're welcome. There's a lot of people jealous of you right now. Anyway, with that milky white Irish skin, you know, in the wintertime, got to get my vitamin D. Got to get my vitamin D up. It actually decreases your chance of dying from COVID by like 1,900% or something like that. My friend Jeff shared a study, and I was like, what? Usually I remember details like that better, but this Hemingway Martini is the mind eraser. So I'm actually on my first, but it's a double. So double Hemingway, double barrel shotgun to the head. I think he blew his head off, didn't he, Hemingway? I was reading about it in his book, which I keep mentioning, To Have and to Have Another, the book of Hemingway's favorite cocktails, which I freaking love. I'm actually picking a drink from the book for every podcast. Next week is Death in the Afternoon. I'm gonna tell you a story about that right now. I just told my friend it. I shouldn't tell you. It doesn't cast me in a good light, but you know, what does really? I mean, certainly not this green sweatshirt. I look like a flashy homeless guy right now, which is pretty much what I am. I'm forgetting where I was going with that. But I will tell you my story. Oh, I was talking about To Have and Have Another, the book that I love. And it's just like a great list of cocktails that Hemingway loved that you should try. But they were talking about the end of Hemingway's life, which is really sad. Physically, he was like not terribly unhealthy, which is shocking considering, you know, the amount of drinking he did. But he was very like, he was like a man's man, you know, he liked to like do stuff like fishing and hunting and, you know, all the man stuff that I don't really do. I lift weights, but you know, it's not really manly. It's like fake manly. Real manly shit is like wrestling a lion, you know, or like, I don't know. I know it's not popular to like shoot things that are endangered and such, but still, I guess it's not badass. That's very un-PC of me to say, but like in just like a caveman kind of like raw way, kind of badass. He liked to do shit like that. But at the end of his life, I think he was very depressed and just dealing with a lot of shit. He had like shock therapy and like all these treatments that weren't working. I think in the end, it was just like he knew he was going nuts and he blew his head off. That's really like sad stuff. But, you know, hey, still amazing writer and an amazing drinker. So, you know, you never trust a skinny chef, right? So that's what they say about Italian food. It's the same with bartenders, I think. So never trust a sober bartender. And if anyone's going to be your bartender in heaven or the other place, you know, Hemingway would be an interesting one. He's probably got a lot of good stories to tell. Yeah. So next week I will be with my friend who's a real scientist. She does sciencey things all day. And, you know, I want to ask her some questions about science because, yeah, I put on a pretty good show, but actually pretty dumb, for being honest. Good at taking tests. So that goes a long way in the American school system. But I want to ask you some questions about science, you know, like what's going on? Like what's exciting in science right now? I want to try to avoid talking about COVID. I'm sure it's going to come up because, you know, it's like kind of a scientific thing that's happening. I also want to have her explain to me string theory and what it has to do with the string cheese, because I do like string cheese. And if everything's made of strings vibrating, then string cheese would also be made of strings. Think about that for a second. Some Hemingway Martini thinking right there. So we will be drinking the drink, which I'm going to pop it into the chat here because I'm the only one chatting. I might as well chat with myself. I'm chatterbaiting. I think that's actually a site, isn't it? Chatterbaiting. So that is Death in the Afternoon, which is actually quite an easy drink recipe to make. I think I'll give it to you right now. Here it goes. It's 1 shot of absinthe, I like Absente, which is the one with Van Gogh on the box, because you know it's good. So good, you might chop your ear off. It's true. 1 shot of absinthe, and you fill it. Oops. Fill with champagne. So absinthe and champagne. Crazy? Yes. Delicious? Yes. Death in the afternoon? Yes. So I was having some of those one time, and I did not die in the afternoon. I went to sleep much earlier than I usually would go to sleep, but it was a good time and a good drink, and I can see why he likes it, because we have similar tastes, Papa Hemingway and me. So we will be drinking Death in the Afternoon next week, same bat time, same bat channel. I don't know what the world will be doing then, but I know what I'll be doing. I'll be here having drinks with you, because I love people. I think it's actually, like, I was a very shy kid, but I really love people. And I have faith in people. I have faith in America and American people. Everyone across the whole world loves American people. Everywhere I've been, everybody I talk to. And, the American people are fundamentally good. I do believe that in my heart. And, we need to come together and put all this division aside and work on fixing the problems. We all know we got problems. We got to work together, though, because if we rip ourselves apart, that's not going to help anything. That about does it. I got one more toast, and it actually fits perfectly with what I was just saying. So everybody stuck with me and popped in, popped out. I want to thank you. I guess the whole world has been upended by the last day or so. So it's a weird time, but I wanted to pop on, stay positive, and do something positive, even if it was just me talking at myself and having a drink, because I want to stick to my program of doing happy half hours. And we're growing it, and we're getting new and interesting people doing different drinks. I got a lot more to do. So unfortunately today, Taylor, who was my guest, could not show up, and I apologize on her behalf, but she was sick, and that's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. But the other toast, which is very apropos for the moment, is if you have a drink, go ahead and have a sip with me. Here's to staying positive and testing negative. And that is right up my alley of dark sense of humor. And I love you guys for checking it out. And hey, I'll see you soon. Stay liver strong. Stay heart strong. Stay mind strong. Stay strong. America. Love you. Bye.